DoD have a role to play if those American hostages are released from North Korea?
Again, I think we have to let our diplomats lead. We will support the State Department in any capacity that they ask, but again, I think we have to wait and see. Jeff.
Thank you. The Secretary said earlier this week that the Taliban is on its back foot. Can the Defense Department provide any data, any metrics to show that the Taliban have lost ground in the past year?
The Taliban has lost ground, and I believe General Nicholson has talked about that and about the losing ground, as well as all of the sites as far as resources, financial targeting that they've done. So they have lost ground, and I think you can see by the fact that their attacks have been more spectacular, and they've killed more civilian innocent lives, shows that they're desperate. So I think there's plenty of evidence, and there's been plenty of evidence in the last year, that things are moving in the right direction.
If I could follow up, the Defense Department has characterized these attacks as acts of desperation. What made you conclude that as opposed to the Taliban and ISIS adopting a more effective tactic?
I say that because they're losing ground. The number of provinces that have governance is increasing. We say that they're desperate because people take drastic measures in which you're killing innocents. You're targeting people who are simply trying to vote because you don't have another method. So, as the Secretary said earlier, they need something spectacular so that media shows it, so that they can get attention, because they're not capable of convincing the people that they are a viable option. Aaron.
Just to go back to Djibouti for a second, I know you said you didn't have the exact number of incidents on hand, but is it safe to say this is more than a 1 or 2 incident?
It is. I'd say a small number. There have been separate incidents. We can get you more fidelity, but I would say probably more than 2, less than 10, but we can get you more fidelity.
And how long has this been going on for?
I don't have the exact number, but these recent incidents have been in the last few weeks.
But you said the recent incidents in the last few weeks, have there been cases where this has happened previously?
I believe there have been cases where this has happened recently, but what this started was these last few weeks we've decided to become very serious about it, and we have demarched the Chinese, and we've asked for the investigation.
Sorry, because of the injuries or because the rate has increased these incidents?
Both. Right here.
Thank you. Is the Pentagon concerned about an escalating conflict between Israel and Iran in Syria? And if so, what would the U.S.'s role be?
We are concerned about the fact that Iran continues to be a malign influence in the region, that Iran continues to destabilize the region, that it uses its proxy forces to undermine stability in the region. And that's whether you're talking about Hezbollah or whether you're talking about the Houthis. That is our concern. Wherever Iran is, chaos follows. And so therefore, in Syria, it's a complex battle space. And what Iran continues to do will continue to be a concern.
What would the U.S.'s role be in that if the conflict escalates there between those two countries?
I'm not gonna. The United States and its coalition partners always reserve the right of self-defense. But in Syria, our mission continues to be lasting defeat of ISIS.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got time for one.
Okay. Travis.
Do you have any idea of what China's motivation is for directing these lasers on U.S. aircraft? Is it just to disrupt operations, or is there something else beyond
I'd
that?
have to have you ask the Chinese about their motivations. But it's serious, and we take it seriously, and it's why we demarched them. Okay, one more. Way in the back.
Going back to the crash that happened yesterday, can you talk with me about what the Pentagon's doing in terms of investigating things like this? Because we've seen, is it a maintenance issue, is it a training issue, or is it something that you guys are looking at from different aspects?
We're with this particular incident, We're looking at all aspects, and that's what we do for any of these incidents, whether it's training or mechanical. That's our responsibility. So this is still under investigation, and so once we know more, we can provide more details.
Just a follow-up.
7 crashes over the past month, killing 16 American service members. How concerned is Secretary Mattis? Doesn't there need to be some kind of blue ribbon panel to investigate all these crashes?
Secretary is concerned about any incident in which a service member's life is lost. Each service and each of these incidents are unique. You missed this earlier, but each incident is unique and unique to the service and the platform. And so it's very important that we think about it in that regard. Does it concern us? Listen, we lost a lot of time being on CRs for several years, and you can't buy the time back. Now, you can't buy the training hours back. You can't buy the maintenance time back. You can't do that. And so that's why it's all the more important that we ensure, and we're appreciative of the fact that Congress gave us a 2-year deal for the $700 billion and the $716. But stable budgeting is key for us. You want to follow up?
You say they're all unique, but over the past month, there have been 7 crashes. Doesn't this point to something more like a crisis?
This is not a crisis, but it is a crisis for each of these families, and we owe them a full investigation and to understand what's going on. But these are across services, and these are different individuals in different circumstances. And I can guarantee you, each service and the Secretary will do a thorough investigation to ensure that we're doing everything we can to ensure this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you.
Another question, please. Would you mind if I have another?
Yemen. Okay, on Yemen.
Thank you
But
so
you know
much.
they're going to
Thank you so much.
what are you doing?
Do you know what's the number of U.S. Special Forces inside Yemen? And if you have any comment on the New York Times story that U.S. commandos, Green Berets, are helping the Saudis to counter rebels inside Yemen?
One, we won't talk about whether the composition of our forces, but as I said, the mill-to-mill relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia is robust, and we are there, and we are helping them with securing their border. That is our mission, and that's what we'll continue to do. Thank you.
One last follow on the crashes.